Hello, how long has this been going on? Author, Hot Spring Stupid Copywriting, programmer Tao Zihu transmigrated and became the cannon fodder in a dog-blooded CEO novel. He was the first love in the book that caused the protagonist Gong Huo Ran to become disabled and heartbroken. In the end, he was revenged to death by the protagonist's husband and wife. Tao Zihu ran away without hesitation. As a dead house, he firmly squatted at home with the computer as a companion, indulging in the wonderful sand sculpture online world, so unhappy. Just kidding, even if the plot wants him to meet Huo, there is no chance, okay? When browsing the forum one day, he saw such a delusional phishing post, title: I was pursued by 4 people of the same sex, but I am a straight man, how should I politely refuse? Tao Zihu, a homosexual with single mother and fetus, replied with a sneer. Director Tao of the No. 7 mental hospital in Jinbei City, hello, how long has this situation been going on? A few minutes later. Original, hello, Dr. Tao, it has been going on for more than a month, and I am really distressed. Is this the business scope of your hospital? Can you help me? Tao Zihu? Then he inexplicably had an old-fashioned netizen. Tao Zihu tried to teach straight male netizens some coquettish manipulations of rejecting other people's love, and the effect was remarkable, and he successfully strangled the other party's peach blossoms. Later, netizens with increasingly ambiguous relationships invited him to formally meet the base, and he went to the appointment with a throbbing heart. The tall and handsome man stretched out his hand nervously, blushing, hello, my name is Huo Ran. Tao Zihu. A decisive programmer who loves life and never works overtime times occasionally, the innocence, bravery and rich second-generation attack of an elementary school chicken, double first love notes before reading one. Healing sweet texts, occasional sand sculptures, dual perspective switching, and a lot of psychological descriptions. 2. Slow and trivial daily life, with slow rhythm and many details, all written about life trivialities, neither intense nor exciting. 3. The style and type of writing have been marked. Have fun looking at the text and pictures. Don't force yourself if it doesn't suit your taste. Please don't criticize because of this message, thank you. 4. The story is purely fictitious, and everything is private, please do not substitute it, and do not correspond to the real world. Content tags, urban love, rich family, sweet text, book search keywords, protagonist, Tao Zihu, Huo Ran supporting roles, column sand sculpture taste of dog blood pre-acquisition help, it's dog blood others, pre-acceptance of column healing sweet article stone begs me to shut up one sentence introduction, daily sweet essay conception, caring for mental health and caring for the spiritual home. Comment on the work, programmer Tao Zihu died suddenly due to overwork, and after his death, he transmigrated into a novel of dog-blooded romance with a bizarre plot. In order to avoid becoming a cannon fodder for his first love with a tragic ending, he fled overnight and started a new life in another city. But after going around, he still met Gong Huo Ran, the protagonist in the original book, and fell in love with him sincerely. After plucking up the courage and determination to fight against fate, Tao Zihu gradually discovered the reason why he crossed the book and the truth behind this novel world. The characters grow and change step by step, the characters are plump and three-dimensional, the emotions are delicate and moving, and the details are rich and real. The protagonist discovers the neglected beauty in the ordinary and trivial daily life, and finds the lost dreams and love in the monotonous life. The story is full of laughter and tears, and the positive emotions of cherishing oneself and living a good life are conveyed between the lines. Zhitong Game Company, 5:58 p.m. Tao Zihu checked the code written today again, and clicked on the new messages accumulated on Dang Dang. Planning Wang Heng, yes, there is no problem, brother Tao is awesome. Planning Wang Heng, today is also a day when no bugs can be found. JPG frontend Tao Zihu, okay, then I'm off work. 2 minutes passed quickly, and as soon as it was 6 o'clock, Tao Zihu turned off the computer, closed the lid of the water glass, picked up the shopping bag on the table, and clocked in happily to leave work. The programmer Shui Huacan sitting next door looked at him in surprise. "Xiao Tao, are you leaving?" Tao Zihu smiled, "That's right, there will be no more vegetables in the supermarket any later. I'm going to send out the package tonight. What are you going to do if you're not doing it?" Shui Huacan frowned. Tao Ji remained patient. "I have confirmed all the parts I am in charge of, and it has nothing to do with the modules you are working on. It is none of my business." Shui Huacan's brows frowned even tighter. "The time for this contract is very tight, and there are still many functions to be changed, so I will leave an overtime shift, and I will send you the new requirements." Tao Ziyu interrupted him, with a puzzled expression on his face. "Is time tight? Why did I see that you were watching videos at Station D in the afternoon?" Shui Huacan, cough. "I was learning the interface made by others." So Tao Ziyu looked at him with encouragement. "You really worked hard and studied for most of the afternoon, then you must have an idea about the function to be changed." Shui Huacan could only speak stubbornly, "Of course." "Then go ahead, bye." Tao Zihu didn't give him a chance to continue talking, turned around and walked away, leaving a handsome back. The other employees watching the excitement not far away couldn't help but make envious sounds. The king of dumping has finally met his opponent. Alas, I really envy Tao Zihu. He has only been here for less than 2 months, and he is so young, and he doesn't even work overtime when he is paid. If you are Tao Zihu, you can do it too. His code is written quickly and well, and he doesn't rework it. He is the top 3. I heard that he didn't go to the big factory because he didn't want to work overtime. Since he came, I have seen the main program. Lao Li's hair doesn't fall out very much. Speaking of hair, Tao Zihu's head is so thick and handsome, so sour. Don't think about it, the world of handsome guys is different from ours. I heard that many girls from the company next door came to ask him out to hang out, but none of them agreed. I suggest expulsion of Tao Zihu's programmer QAQ. Tao Zihu didn't know anything about it. He took the bus to the supermarket near his home, thinking about the menu for the evening. It was getting late, and the supermarket was full of people. There were colorful vegetables, fruits and poultry meat, pink to ripe tomatoes, green leafy vegetables stained with dew, yellow peppers, green and grey live shrimps popping out of the water tank, sauce red cooked food exuded. Tao Zihu took a deep breath of the tempting fragrance. It's good to be alive. No one knew that Tao Zihu died once. He used to be called Tao Zihu. He was quiet and sensible when he was young, with excellent grades in a harmonious family. After graduating from the country's #1 computer major, he successfully entered a big internet company that everyone admires. As a code farmer, working hard and earning money, I want to settle down in a big city and make my parents proud. As a result, before the down payment was enough, he died unexpectedly. Apart from crazy work, Tao Zihu has no other hobbies, and has never been in a relationship because of his sexuality. The only concern is his parents. Fortunately, before his death, his mother happened to be pregnant with a second child. Even if he is gone, there are other consolations in the second half of life. Tao Zihu was very relieved about his sudden death, so when he opened his eyes and found himself alive in a novel world, he was full of question marks. Especially when the plot of this novel appeared in his mind, his whole body split apart. This is a dog-blooded Dan Mei novel called Being Spoiled by a Cruel Disabled Boss. The main character is Shen Nian, who has a weak temperament and a delicate and beautiful body. The disabled president Huo Ran, from then on Huo Ran became Shen Nian's backer, and Shen Nian became Huo Ran's only weakness. With the help of Huo Ran, Shen Nian got rid of the adoptive parents' family, and even discovered his own life experience. It turned out that he was the leftover young master of the wealthy Shen family. Shen Nian was immediately welcomed back to the Shen family. Everyone was slapped in the face, countless men and women admired him, and the relationship between Shen Nian and Huo Ran was also in crisis. Later, Shen Nian cured Huo Ran's leg with his own medical talent, which proved his sincerity. Soon after, the two went abroad to register for marriage, and lived happily ever after. Tao Zihu couldn't accept the plot full of the flavor of the ancient TV series, but the more terrifying thing was yet to come. There is also a character named Tao Zihu in the book, who was an orphan since he was a child, and became Huo Ran's first love when he was in college. Unexpectedly, the two of them encountered a car accident while traveling during the passionate love period, and Huo Ran disabled his legs in order to protect him. But after Huo Ran was squeezed out by his family and lost power, Tao Zihu left him without looking back. From then on, Huo Ran's temperament changed drastically, until Shen Nian appeared and healed his cold and broken heart. The snobbish Tao Zihu came back to look for Huo Ran after he learned that he had inherited the group. He wanted to get back together, but the weak Shen Nian stood in front of Huo Ran and scolded him. Falling in love with Shen Nian also made Huo Ran completely desperate for Tao Ji. Huo Ran began to retaliate against Tao Zihu crazily. He caused a car accident and let Tao Zihu taste the pain he had suffered. Shen Nian accidentally exposed Tao Zihu's cold-blooded behavior, and netizens who were filled with righteous indignation crazily insulted Tao Zihu. He was ruined, lost his job, and lost the ability to take care of himself because of his injuries, and finally committed suicide in Dismal. Tao Zihu, whose pupils keep shaking, scared. Tao Zihu didn't know what opportunity gave him the chance to live again. He didn't have too many regrets about his death, the only thing that might be that he hoped that he would not have to work overtime in his next life, he would eat on time, exercise his body, and try to live to 99. As an ordinary social animal who has never seen the world, it is too exciting for him to face such ups and downs of fate all of a sudden. After Tao Zihu calmed down, he found that he was in his sophomore year, and there was no one named Huo Ran in his memory. There was no detailed description of the story between him and Huo Ran in the novel. Love at first sight. At that time, Tao Zihu was full of jealousy towards the ruthless Huo Ran, and also felt apprehensive about the unfamiliar world of novels. He felt that if he stayed here for a second longer, he might be drawn into this terrible dog blood story. So Tao Zihu directly dropped out of school, and fled overnight with his ID card and bank card. He had already studied enough in his previous life, and he was not interested in the university major of Tao Zihu, so there was no need to waste another 2 years studying. What's more, his excellent programming level and rich project experience are enough for him to cross the hurdle of academic qualifications and find any job he wants. After a brief investigation, Tao Zihu rented a house in Jinbei City, where the climate is pleasant and where snacks are everywhere, found a job, and began to slowly save money for owning his own house. Fortunately, this world is basically the same as the one he used to live in. The cultural customs and level of development are similar, and there are only differences in some details. Therefore, Tao Zihu quickly adapted to the new life. The bad habit of hurting the liver has become a glorious young healthcare provider. Tao Zihu commutes to get off work on time every day, cooks breakfast and dinner for himself, reads books and plays games on weekends, goes for a walk in the park on sunny days, and cooks hot pot at home on rainy days. A year passes quickly like running water. Counting the days, there are still 2 years before Huo Ran and Shen Nian meet again. Tao Zihu feels that as long as the two protagonists meet and fall in love, he will be completely safe as a tool man, and he can be freed from the plot that may come at any time. Live your own life completely. Although this world does not seem to have any supernatural elements, Tao Zihu has already felt the power of the god of drama. His last job was in a new game company that rarely needed 996. The benefits were good and the boss was reasonable. Tao Zihu was very satisfied with this job, but one day he suddenly learned that the company's A round of financing was funded by Huo's capital company led the investment. Moreover, this investment was contacted by Huo's group on its own initiative. The reason is that they are optimistic about the company's future development direction, and they are going to send the executives of the parent company directly. They will carry out in-depth cooperation with other entertainment industries of Huo's group in the future. Even the boss of the company was surprised, lamenting how such a small company was favored by the Huo family with a big business. Tao Zihu was dumbfounded, and hurriedly resigned and ran away. Before joining the current company, Tao Zihu was different from ordinary applicants. At the end of the interview, he had been confirming whether the company had a financing plan. Because his technology is so good, he has a strong aura when he mentions the professional field, and his appearance is too good-looking. The CEO was so surprised to confirm with him carefully whether he was really a programmer, thinking that this is some talented rich young master who came here incognito. Find items to play with. Tao Zihu explained for a long time before he convinced the new boss, who had a big brain, that he was just an ordinary wage earner who dropped out of school to earn money. On this day, Tao Zihu, as usual, ate his meal slowly, washed the dishes, and stood in front of the color-printed Cupid portrait, sincerely wishing Huo Ran and Shen Nian to fall in love as soon as possible. Then he sat down in front of the computer and started the happiest surfing time of the day. Except for the company and the park supermarkets around the community, Tao Zihu seldom goes to other places and does not participate in any social activities. He is afraid of bumping into the characters in the original book, so his social circle is very narrow, basically only colleagues, and colleagues are often difficult to become. Friend. It is inevitable that a person's life will feel lonely, but fortunately there is a network extending in all directions. Tao Zihu, who is alone in this world, whenever he sees so many sand sculpture netizens ha 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 with him on the screen, he suddenly has a warm feeling that the world is sharing this moment. He opened the Sky forum he frequented, and browsed through the boards ranging from short stories from parents to frequent jokes. Sometimes he had high blood pressure, sometimes ha ha ha, sometimes. And finally his eyes stayed on a hot post on the top line in the Emotional Life forum. Title: I was pursued by 4 people of the same sex, but I am a straight man, how should I politely refuse? Hot Tao Zihu entered with a skeptical face. Sure enough, the content of the main building is quite fantasy. It basically means that the host is handsome and rich, but he was not good at rejecting others since he was a child. Elites, even idol stars, straight male hosts are too embarrassed to directly refuse, for fear of hurting other people's hearts, but he really doesn't like men. The following comments are basically to let the host stop this kind of ordinary but confident conjecture. If he is really handsome, he will post a photo, otherwise it will be treated as a phishing post. Tao Zihu, who is single and mother-fetal, agrees deeply. As a natural gay, he dare not imagine such a dreamy plot. He didn't expect that the straight men's way of phishing and replying is so wild. Under the watchful eyes of the A4SIZED Cupid, Tao Zihu, wearing a sand sculpture ID, sneered and uttered that quite skillful taunt. Director Tao of the No. 7 Mental Hospital in Jinbei City, hello, how long has this situation been going on? After replying to this post, Tao Zihu browsed the other boards, browsing all the big news that happened today. Tao Zihu, who was full of emotional ups and downs all night, was a little sleepy. He looked at the time on the upper right corner of the computer, and it was almost 10 o'clock. Tao Zihu's biological clock is very regular, and he should be ready to take a shower and go to bed at this time, but at the moment when he was about to close the web page, a new reply reminder popped up. He yawned and clicked open casually. User 7263977816, the original poster. Hello, Dr. Tao, it has been going on for more than a month, and I am really distressed. Is this the business scope of your hospital? Can you help me? Tao Zihu? Tao Zihu's eyes widened in bewilderment, and he unconsciously stopped his hand to turn off the phone. Why did he recognize these words when they were taken apart, but couldn't understand them when they were put together? Who is Dr. Tao? What business scope? Help who? Tao Zihu, who was confused, followed the message reminder and clicked in. After seeing the original post, he realized that it was a phishing post by that shameless straight man who lied to reply. He vaguely remembered his very friendly reply. Tao Ziya was speechless, and he started typing. Director Tao of the No. 7 Psychiatric Hospital in Jinbei City, brother, I mean you are sick. His reply hadn't been sent yet, and new news came again. User 7263978116, host Dr. Tao, are you still online? I'm sorry, a friend mentioned in a post just now ran to my house and insisted on staying. I finally persuaded him to leave, so I didn't reply you in time, I'm sorry. User 7263978116, the original poster. I don't know why other people's replies are scolding me, or saying that I am fishing. I checked the meaning of fishing to understand. I really didn't lie. In the post, only you are concerned about my situation. Whether you are still here or not, I want to say thank you to you. Seeing the very sincere reply from user 7263978116, Tao Ziya felt a little guilty. He deleted the straight ball taunt that he was going to send out in the input box, and he hesitated with his fingers on the keyboard, not knowing how to reply to the host who was too involved in the drama. Anyway, the guy was polite, didn't say anything over the top, and looked like he really didn't know much about internet buzzwords. What if this person is telling the truth? Tao Ziya suddenly remembered that he was in the world of a novel. In the middle and late stages of the novel, the protagonist Shen Nian had about 7 or 8 suitors who were handsome and wealthy. Light. He suddenly felt that it was not impossible for 4 big shots to fall in love with a straight man at the same time. So Tao Ji, who was completely sleepy, sent out a tentative reply. Director Tao of the No. 7 Mental Hospital in Jinbei City, it's okay, too many people like to post deceptive posts, so everyone will be more excited when they meet. A few minutes later. User 7263978116, host Dr. Tao, you are still here. Great, can you help me then? I'm really not a liar. You should be a psychiatrist, I can pay for consultation. User 7263978116, the original poster. I don't mean to look down on homosexuality. I respect every orientation, and I know it's not pathological, but I've never been in a relationship, and I'm inexperienced in dealing with relationship issues. They have been so worried that they can't sleep well for a month, and they have nightmares every day. It would be great if Dr. Tao could help me. My PP number is 6728F369Z. Tao Ji felt even more guilty, but he also had a subtle feeling. He has seen many straight men who stay away from homosexuality or are full of contempt. When facing heterogeneous people, there are very few people who can treat them peacefully. As for user 7263978116, who is deeply troubled but still cares about the other person's feelings, this is the first time he has encountered it. If it's a lie, then it's too fake. What is this person trying to do? If it is true, this straight male host should be a very kind person, and such a person should be treated equally. A moment later, Tao Ziya logged into the app by mistake, searched and added friends. The profile picture of the other party is a very beautiful landscape photo, and the nickname is HR. It seems that he is a big brother who does personnel work. Maybe their company is relatively large and they usually come into contact with a lot of employees, so it is not surprising that such an understanding, gentle and kind HR big brother is liked by several elite gays in the industry. Many gays with rich emotional experience, in the end, they will return to basics and fall in love with this kind of person. The more Tao Ji started to automatically complete the plot, the more he thought about it, the more reasonable he felt. The friend application was approved immediately, and the HR brother was obviously waiting online. HR, Dr. Tao, is that you? Tao Ziya's PP nickname is the word Tao, which is easy to recognize. He was about to explain that he was not a doctor when another message came from the other side. HR, several people came to add me just now, I thought it was you, but they called me sick when they came up. Tao, hurry up and delete that layer of reply, don't reveal personal information. HR, okay, thank you Dr. Tao, I will delete it right away. HR, I seldom go online, and I just registered for this forum. I saw this forum when I searched online for what to do if you are being pursued by someone of the same sex. Sky Forum is the online community with the largest traffic in China, and every section in it is very popular, especially the emotional life section is full of eye-catching emotional stories, and people often ask netizens for help with various weird emotional problems here. Tao Zihu figured it out. This HR brother was probably older and hadn't had much contact with the young people's world. No wonder he didn't know anything about buzzwords. By the way, he remembered what HR said that he had never been in a relationship, so Tao Zihu gradually had an image of a tired and disappointed middle-aged man, a young man who was still single, pestered by uninterested homosexuals, because he was too young. Easy to talk, so unable to refuse, there should be no one in life to communicate with, and after finally touching the internet to ask for help, he was attacked by netizens. Although the eldest brother said that he was handsome and rich, Tao Zihu, who had completely entered the brain-filling plot, subconsciously ignored it. Brother HR's life is already so miserable, it is completely understandable to beautify his image a little bit. Tao Zihu even felt a tinge of pity. Tao, in the future, don't casually post your contact information on the internet, and don't reveal any real information about yourself. Human flesh searches are very common now and can easily affect your real life. It showed that it was typing, and it took a while to send a message. HR, Dr. Tao, you are such a good person. HR, you have been using the real name of the hospital, have you not been harassed by netizens? HR, it must be because Dr. Tao usually comforts and enlightens others. Everyone thinks you are a good doctor. Tao Ji, who frantically collected good person cards today, was hesitant to speak, his hands trembling slightly as he tried to type. In the end, he gave up explaining, and really couldn't bear to let this innocent and pure HR brother suffer another blow. Forget it, a doctor should be a doctor. Anyway, he works voluntarily and does not charge for it. Tao, you don't need to pay for what you said before, because my professional direction can't help you. Tao, but I also like men, so maybe I can help you analyze the behavior of your friends and see how you can completely reject them. This is the first time that Tao Zihu has confessed his sexuality to others. Although separated by the internet, both of them are anonymous, but after the news was sent out, he still became nervous and his palms began to sweat. He had mustered up the courage countless times, and wanted to speak to his parents who kept urging him to find a girlfriend, but the words stopped when he reached his mouth. He was afraid of seeing his parents' disappointed eyes, and even more afraid of being treated as a different kind from now on. I don't know why today, but this line of words flows out of my fingers naturally. It may be that the secret has been hidden for too long, and there is absolutely no one in this world to sue. When he suddenly met a person who seemed very honest and sincere, he couldn't help but tell the truth. After thinking about it, Tao Zihu still pretended to be nonchalant and added a sentence. Tao, if you mind, forget it. Unexpectedly, HR replied quickly, as if there was no need to think at all. HR, Dr. Tao, you are so brave, willing to speak out about yourself in order to help others. HR, I hope everything goes well for Dr. Tao and he can be happy every day. HR, don't care about what other people think, just follow your own heart. Tao Zihu stared at the screen in a daze, a few lines that were very simple and old-fashioned, but full of gentle kindness. No wonder so many gays fall in love with this old-fashioned straight guy. Tao, thank you, happy face, stay up late for a while, get up early for the crematorium. The consequence of breaking the fixed biological clock is that you feel drowsy when you go to work the next day, and your mind is full of mud. Tao Ji got up with difficulty, brushed his teeth and ate dinner like sleepwalking, drifted into the company like a ghost, and didn't know what he was doing all morning. Fortunately, a game version update was just completed yesterday, and I can take a breather in the next few days, and there is no submission request for the planner, so Tao Zihu can justifiably fish for it. Tao Ziyu has already forgotten what he talked with HR brother last night. It was basically sending each other a good person card. In short, he has a simple understanding of each other to facilitate subsequent communication. Tao Ziyu comforted himself in this way. After eating at noon and taking a nap on the table, Tao Ziyu regained his sanity. He took out his mobile phone, clicked on the app, and pulled up the chat history of last night, only to find that he disappeared while talking, leaving only HR brother talking to himself. Tao Ziyu was a little embarrassed, so he took the initiative to send a message. Tao, good afternoon. I accidentally fell asleep yesterday, I didn't mean not to reply. Tao, I get off work at 6 o'clock every day, finish my meal at 8 o'clock, and go to bed at 10:30. If it's convenient for you, we can communicate between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the evening. Tao Ziyu waited for a while, but there was no reply on the other side, probably busy. He didn't care about it anymore, and opened the Little Green Bird IT Technology Exchange community, ready to see what hot topics have been recently. He who was staring at the screen intently didn't notice that a figure flashed past behind him just now. Tao Ziyu's nickname in the Little Green Bird community is also Tao. He occasionally posts some posts discussing technology, and occasionally replies to other people's posts asking for help. Because the content of his replies every time is to the point, the solutions he gives are concise and practical, and he has no airs of a great god, and he is very patient with all kinds of questions, gradually gaining many fans in the community. Now every time he posts a post, there are a group of people with a group photo below, so unless there are technical problems that bother him, he usually rarely speaks again, and is a silent diving party. However, the list of online members will be displayed at the bottom of the community, and ordinary people may not pay attention to it, but some people who want to recruit him to partner in projects have been following him unremittingly. One of the outstanding ones even wrote a small program: as long as he is online, a full screen of red text prompts will appear on all his electronic devices. A minute later, Tao Ziyu received a new private message as expected. Gua, ah. Tao Tao, you are here. You have been offline for 7 days, 8 hours, and 3 minutes. Pottery, Tao, hello, quack. Gua, I haven't been online for so long, are you busy with work? Was it oppressed by a black heart boss? Gua, why don't you resign and do it with me? Afternoon tea at the Sunshine Villa, the boss is handsome and obedient, and you will get free shares when you join the job /rose/rose/rose. Tao Ziyu was amused by him. Gua was a programmer he met when he posted a post before. The two of them had a lot of resonance in the discussion of technical issues. Gua introduced him as a confidant, and always wanted to pull him to do projects together. For Tao Ziyu, the company he was staying at now was indeed a bit overqualified. The games they made were relatively simple, and almost all of them were skin-changing games that had already been established, and they were not challenging. But this is also the result of Tao Ziyu's careful selection. He learned the lesson from the last company that was favored by Huos, so he chose this small company with absolutely no distinctive and innovative future development direction. Tao, although I am touched by your persistence, you know my answer. Gua, no. I confessed to my sister yesterday and just got rejected, so you should comfort me, don't reject this poor quack again. QAQ Tao, condolences. Tao, so, I still have to ask, can the company not raise funds within 2 years? As an elder, am I allowed to have no contact with anyone other than company employees? Or, can I work remotely all the time and not show up as my real identity? Tao Ziyu is a very responsible person, the company where he makes a living is favored by the Huo family, so he can resign and leave without burden. But if the company he participated in starting a business has a great opportunity to cooperate with Huo, he can't stop it because of his own selfishness. This is unfair to those who work side by side with him, even though the opportunity is likely to come because of him. Gua, Gua, why? Why is there such a strange request? Even social terror is too exaggerated. Gwa, to be honest, do you hate the rich? Once you see the boss's father, you will not be able to control your sinful hands. Tao, no. I just hate Huo. Gwa? Hatred? Is this a name for a superstitious activity? Tao, you won't understand. Tao, I am under pressure that I shouldn't have at this age. JPG Huo Ran, who just woke up, suddenly sneezed. He rubbed his nose, stretched comfortably, and then lay motionless in the soft quilt, reminiscing about the sweet dreams of last night. Ever since he was crazily pursued by a group of male friends, Huo Ran hasn't had such a good night's sleep for a long time. During this month, when he arrived at the company, he could always see someone waiting for him in the reception room holding flowers, and when he fled into the office, he would see the assistant's flushed face. Yesterday he skipped work and hid at home for a whole day, but in the middle of the night someone wanted to come to his door to give him a hug. Huo Ran, who had never seen such a battle before, was almost frightened out of his wits. And not only when he was awake, he lay on the bed every night so worried that he tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep, and finally fell asleep in a daze. In his dream, there was a man he didn't know who was flirting with him. Huo Ran, who was physically and mentally devastated, was getting more and more haggard, so he told his best friend Fa Xiao about his tragic experience, hoping to find a solution. In the end, Fa Xiao was silent for a long time, and said quietly, "Will you be with one of them?" Huo Ran, "Of course not. I don't like men." Fa Xiao, "So you don't think about me either, right?" Huo Ran? Huo Ran? So Huo Ran never dared to mention these things to his acquaintances again, for fear of accidentally revealing some long-buried secret. After much deliberation, Huo Ran decided to turn to the mysterious online world for help. He opened the search engine and solemnly entered, "What should I do if I am pursued by the same sex?" Then he met Director Tao of the No. 7 Mental Hospital in Jinbei City, a kind and considerate doctor. Huo Ran originally wanted to tell Dr. Tao his name, career, and living environment in detail. Although he had never found a doctor online, a psychiatrist in real life should need to know the real situation of the patient. However, Dr. Tao kindly told him that he should not reveal his real identity information online. Huo Ran thought about it, and then deleted the self-introduction he had written. He should respect what Dr. Tao said. Maybe this is the special feature of online medical treatment. Huo Ran is very unfamiliar with the online world, so he is also cautiously in awe. Last night he chatted with Dr. Tao very late, vomited bitterness about his frightened life, and crazily praised Dr. Tao for his selfless dedication, but Dr. Tao didn't reply afterwards. I don't know if Dr. Tao is bothering him. Huo Ran was a little worried, so he quickly got up and put on his clothes, ran to the study, turned on the computer, and logged into PP. Although his antique button machine can also download PP, but the screen is small, the operation is inconvenient, and it is impossible to chat normally. Huo Ran has never used it. In his eyes, mobile phones are used to make calls and send text messages. There are unread messages from Dr. Tao on the PP. Tao, good afternoon. I accidentally fell asleep yesterday, I didn't mean not to reply. Tao, I get off work at 6 o'clock every day, finish my meal at 8 o'clock, and go to bed at 10:30. If it's convenient for you, we can communicate between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the evening. The message was sent half an hour ago. Huo Ran heaved a sigh of relief, and quickly replied. I just woke up and slept well last night, thanks to Dr. Tao for comforting me. I am usually free, as long as Dr. Tao is convenient. Huo Ran had just finished his round-the-world travel, and was asked by his father, Huo Zhendong, to work in the company 2 months ago. He was originally asked to follow up on an assignment to Jinbei City, but it had to be postponed for some reason. Now he is the vice president of the Huo Group, but in fact he has nothing to do. Huo Zhendong asked him to spend more time getting in touch with people in his circle. Every day he had a reception, socializing and golfing. Male peach blossom. Huo Ran regretted it very much. If he had known this would happen, he would have forced his father to start the project in Jinbei City quickly, so that he could escape from this terrible place. PP's message prompt sounded. Tao, that's good, good sleep is very important. Tao, if you encounter something and want to talk about it, you can send it to me at any time, and I will reply when I am free. Tao, the lunch break is over, I have to work. Tao, I love to go to work, it makes me happy. JPG Huo Ran looked at the news and couldn't help feeling ashamed. Dr. Tao is really a positive person who not only loves his work, but is also very helpful after work. HR, thank you Dr. Tao. HR, come on /son. Dr. Tao's PP status became busy. Huo Ran didn't bother him anymore, but looked at the chat records from last night. Dr. Tao didn't speak much, but every word was full of care, which made Huo Ran very useful. Seeing the part where Dr. Tao talked about his sexual orientation yesterday, Huo Ran was very dissatisfied with his reply at that time. Although these were all his sincere words, he felt that they were still too old-fashioned and could not reflect his love for Tao at all. Doctors respect and support from the bottom of their hearts. I don't know how young people nowadays express their enthusiastic support in a fashionable way. What are you looking at? Why are you smiling like an idiot? A crisp female voice suddenly sounded at the door. Huo Ran trembled, and looked up. It was his sister Huo Sihan, who was 3 years younger than him. Can't you ring the doorbell? You always sneak in like a thief. Huo Ran despised her. What is an idiot? It's nothing, it just means you're handsome. Huo Sihan said perfunctorily, do you know what a surprise inspection is? How can you find out your true face after notifying you? Huo Ran said boldly, I still need to discover my true face? Isn't this handsome and obvious? A moron is a hooligan, a pervert, and a pervert. Huo Sihan smiled, why is the downstairs messy? I seem to see 2 wine glasses on the table. Did you have any adventures without telling your dear sister? Huo Ran was startled, he was suddenly attacked last night, and it took him a long time to drive away the idiot who brought the red wine. He was exhausted physically and mentally, so he didn't clean up the mess. I didn't expect to be caught by Huo Sihan today. If she knew about these crap, she might laugh at him. Huo Ran was full of integrity, isn't it okay for me to drink with myself? Have you ever recited a toast to invite Minjiahu to Yingcheng? Play less with your mobile phone, read more, and learn from your outstanding brother. I'll give you the latest orange mobile phone. The mobile phone is so fun and has everything. Huo Sihan whispered demonically, then you have no position to say this to me. You don't want to corrupt me. Huo Ran said righteously, although Dad has admitted his mistake to me on this matter, I have gotten used to it over the years, and I don't feel that there is anything missing in my life. This is Huo Ran's truth, not just wanting to argue with Huo Sihan. When Huo Ran was young, Huo Ran's family's economic conditions were very good. Huo Ran could quickly own any new things on the market. Huo Zhendong was happy with all kinds of new toys, imported snacks, and even expensive computers at that time. Buy it for him. But after the appearance of multifunctional mobile phones with color screens, Huo Zhendong, like many parents, worried about his children's mobile phone addiction. In fact, Huo Ran has been a very self-controlled child since he was a child. Although he is mischievous, he is very measured in doing things, which many adults can't match. But worried parents are often unreasonable, especially Huo Zhendong is busy with his career and has no time to take care of the education of his 2 children on weekdays, and there is not much communication between parents and children. After he accidentally heard a few friends' children hiding under the covers and playing with mobile phones every day, and their grades deteriorated and their eyes were short-sighted, he immediately decided to prevent problems before they happened. He preaches harshly. At that time, Huo Ran was young, but his temper was very stubborn. He didn't understand what other people's addiction had to do with him, and he didn't understand why his father refused to trust his son at all, and only blindly referred to the mistakes made by others to demand he clearly learned from his mistakes. So Huo Ran solemnly told Huo Zhendong that he would only use his mobile phone to make calls and send text messages in the future, and keep the minimum necessary contact with people. The mobile phone is just a tool, and he will not be controlled by the tool. He hoped that this move would make Huo Zhendong realize that he should pay more attention to understanding his son. Huo Zhendong didn't take it seriously at first, but 10 years later, Huo Ran really kept what he said. Even in an era when the whole people bowed their heads and even the middle-aged Huo Zhendong was unavoidable, Huo Ran still used the old man Huo Zhendong strictly guard against the color screen button machine. When it is necessary to use the internet for study and work, Huo Ran uses the computer to complete it efficiently and never wastes time on the internet. Correspondingly, Huo Ran has more disposable time than the average peers. After completing his studies, he likes sports and traveling. When he is free, he travels around the world. He has gained a lot of knowledge and roughly learned several languages. I also met many friends. Huo Ran didn't completely lose his normal interpersonal communication. He registered the PP that everyone uses, but just hangs it on the computer, unlike a mobile phone that can be carried around to chat at any time. These years, girls often come to him for anything. Because his reply speed is very random, he often appears only half a day ago. The girls who just come to chat gradually lose their enthusiasm. Huo Ran thus avoids a lot of peach blossoms from the opposite sex. After a long time, there was a saying in the circle, saying that Huo Ran has good looks, ability, family background, everything, and it is no problem to meet and communicate, but when he does not meet, he is too indifferent to girls, and his speech is incomprehensible, rigid to death, just like it was the 50-year-old Huo Zhendong who was chatting for him. Huo Ran. Huo Ran feels that his life is very happy and fulfilling, but he just lacks some insignificant knowledge. But Huo Zhendong is now starting to worry that he is out of touch with his peers, so he sends his younger sister to persuade him to let go of his prejudices and embrace the trend of the times. Facing his brother who is not into the oil and salt, Huo Sihan simply dragged a chair over and sat down, and persuaded him earnestly, "Aren't you going to fall in love in the future?" Huo Ran is very sensitive to these words now, and immediately raised his guard. "Why? What does this have to do with dating? When you're in love, you need to chat." Huo Sihan hated iron and steel. How can someone hold a computer and talk to a partner every day, and lie on the bed at night and talk to her boyfriend until he falls asleep? How sweet it is! Huo Ran was puzzled. You can meet each other when you are in love, get married when you are in a good relationship, live together if you are married, and call if you don't live together. Is there any difference? You are so annoying. You are so annoying. Huo Sihan was furious, trying to organize his words. It takes a year or two from falling in love to getting married. There must be times when we can't meet each other during this period. Then your girlfriend wants to talk to you. How can I contact you at any time? You can call. Don't talk about calling. Huo Sihan slapped the table angrily. You single dog doesn't understand at all. The happiest thing in dating is to share some trivial things in life with each other. For example, today's lunch is delicious. The flowers are blooming beautifully. No one would call to talk about such a trivial matter, it would be very strange. But these are the most common things that are said between lovers, so they need to chat on the phone anytime, anywhere. Huo Sihan found his way, and looked at Huo Ran with sympathy gradually in his eyes. Of course, I know you don't understand this kind of fun. Who made you have no girlfriend? Haha. Huo Ran was used to his sister's daily ridicule, so he curled his lips and ignored her. However, Huo Sihan's words reminded him. Dr. Tao said that he could talk to him at any time, and Huo Ran might need help suddenly. He couldn't just go to the computer whenever something happened, right? He didn't have Dr. Tao's cell phone number, and the two were not in the same city, so the only way to contact him was PP. Huo Ran thought about this question, and said casually, even if you want to change your mobile phone, you don't need to send it, I will buy it myself. Huo Sihan's eyes lit up, no way, do you really have a date? How old is it? Do you have a photo? Where did you meet? She thought for a while, and laughed again, no, according to your current style evaluation, I should ask first, male or female. Huo Ran, who was poked at the pain point, immediately frowned, Huo Sihan. Are you itchy? Huo Sihan smiled and started to imagine, according to my years of experience, you are clearly showing a guilty conscience, no wonder when I came in just now, you had such an idiotic smile on your face. Then, may I ask, Mr. Huo Ran, a caveman from the top of the mountain, who is the lucky boy who is willing to step into modern human society for him? What a mess! He is a serious doctor. Huo Ran reflexively said. Oh, so you like love in uniforms? Huo Sihan's eyes brightened, it seems that we are really brothers and sisters. I like pilots. The captain's uniform is so handsome. How did you learn so many nonsense? Huo Ran was blushed, I'm doing business. He's the director of the hospital. Director. It's the old man, it's boring. Huo Sihan was discouraged for a moment, I thought you were enlightened. Seeing his sister's disgusted face, Huo Ran subconsciously felt a little upset. Dr. Tao looked very familiar with the online world, and he didn't look like an old man at all. He remembered that there was an information column on the PP software, and while Huo Sihan was not paying attention, Huo Ran quietly clicked on Dr. Tao's personal information page. Age, 26 years old. Huo Ran was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Dr. Tao would be so young, only 2 years older than him, and he would become the head of the department. He is really young and promising. Huo Ran was immediately in awe, and wanted to refute his sister's words, but he still gritted his teeth and held back. We can't let this nonsense, idiot sister smear Dr. Tao again. Huo Sihan rushed suddenly, why are you looking for a doctor? Are you sick? Of course I am. Huo Ran was alert, why, want to me off and inherit my bank card? Huo Sihan had a look of disbelief, where did you learn this sentence pattern? You can use it flexibly. Is this still you? My brother from the caveman. Huo Ran. The fist hardened. Weekday afternoons always seem long, the sun outside the window is lazy, and the office is filled with a drowsy atmosphere. Tao Zihu saw that many colleagues seemed to be wandering away, and some of them were secretly dozing off. Wang Heng, the planner who usually communicates with him more, didn't look for him. It is estimated that the requirements for the next version have not yet been written. Tao Zihu almost fell asleep again, he forced himself to cheer up, and if he fell asleep again, he would suffer from insomnia at night, which would be a vicious circle. There was really nothing to do, and there were no new hot technical topics for him to explore in the Little Green Bird community. Tao Zihu simply opened the game's official scarf and read the players' feedback in the comment area. Most of the comments are insulting the official for being stingy, the drop rate is touching, making Krypton look ugly, but there are also some comments complaining about game bugs. Tao Zihu looked through it carefully, and related the content of the bugs to the code he wrote, all remembered. Although the functions have been tested before going online, especially Tao Zihu will self-check several times, but in the actual use process, it is inevitable that there will be problems of one kind or another. Sometimes it is because of model adaptation problems, sometimes the old code is accidentally overwritten, and many times the reason cannot be found at once. Although he died suddenly because he worked too hard in his previous life, Tao Zihu still has a pure love for programming. When he was a child, he liked to watch construction teams build houses. It was almost like magic to watch people combine unremarkable bricks, tiles and cement into magnificent tall buildings. Programming is the same for Tao Zihu. Construct complicated and meaningless data into a clear logical chain, constantly seek path optimization, and finally get a set of simple and beautiful codes, which will bring great benefits to Tao Zihu. Satisfied and happy, Tao Zihu carefully analyzed the causes of these bugs, then began to conceive of optimization solutions, and sent a message to Wang Heng, asking him if he could add them to the requirements and solve these problems in the new version. Then he saw Wang Heng bounced up from his seat, and waved at him courteously. Tao Zihu? Seeing Tao Zihu's face full of question marks, Wang Heng quickly bent down to send him a message. Planning Wang Heng, brother Tao, go out for a walk. Planning Wang Heng, light a cigarette for the boss. JPG. A moment later, Tao Zihu stood by the side of the road, holding the milk tea Wang Heng stuffed for him, and took a sip blankly. The sweet and milky taste fills the heart, and the soft taro are also delicious. Tao Zihu was very polite, thank you, it's delicious. Wang Heng immediately became excited, brother Tao, do you want to be a producer yourself in the future? Ah! Tao Zihu felt that his thoughts were jumping, what producer? Game. Wang Heng was in high spirits, brother Tao, you are so capable, you definitely won't work for others all the time. Now this is a skin-changing game that everyone pinches their noses, and even the producer doesn't care about the players' feedback and feelings. I just want to make a wave of quick money, but brother Tao, you are still so responsible, if you do the project yourself, you will definitely be able to make a particularly good game. Tao Zihu wanted to explain that he was just bored and looking for something to do. If he was not afraid of offending his colleagues, he would also like to solve the bugs left by other programmers together. But looking at Wang Heng's serious eyes, he couldn't say anything. If programmers are classified as creators, every creator should have fantasized like this: throw away the boss, throw away party A, and only start from interest and do what they love. Wang Heng observed his expression and was a little surprised. Brother Tao, haven't you considered the future direction of development? Many programs will want to transform when they are in their 30s. Tao Zihu really didn't think about the future, he always felt that the current life seemed to be stolen, and it would be great if he could live in peace until the end of the plot. Before he could speak, Wang Heng self-criticized and said, I'm sorry, I was an idiot, I forgot brother Tao, you are only 22 years old. I always forget this, maybe because I was still on the exam when I was 22 years old. By Edge Wandering QAQ. At the beginning, the project team was in urgent need of programmers, and it was hard to recruit a newcomer, who was said to be very young. Originally, a group of them were wondering when this kid would not be able to bear the cruel reality of having less money, more affairs, more projects, and bad projects. As a result, the reality taught them a cruel lesson: great gods are different from mortals. Tao Zihu said guiltily, that's why I told you not to call me brother Tao. When he died suddenly in his last life, he was 26 years old. He was the same age as Wang Heng. He was a weather-beaten social person. Now he has become a child that everyone in the workplace sighs with emotion. Tao Zihu is quite embarrassed. No, this is the respect due to the great god. Wang Heng insisted, and then said anxiously, if you don't have an idea yet, brother Tao, are you interested in taking a look at the project I'm working on? Me and an artist, I am working on it with my friends, and I want to create a strategy mobile game with innovative gameplay. Afraid that Tao Zihu would refuse, he quickly added, it is definitely not the meaning of forcing you to join. If you are free, take a look at our current thinking, and we would be grateful if you could give some criticism, because we haven't found a program yet. I've seen it, but I don't know if it's very difficult to realize it. Tao Zihu is very familiar with this kind of dialogue, and he has accepted such invitations many times before. It is not as formal as starting a business, but more like an amateur interest group. At that time, there was a game idea that he really liked. After joining, he was very happy to do it, and he became good partners with those who worked side by side. Many indie games that have sprung up later were initially formed by such grassroots teams. Even if these games were not able to be produced due to various obstacles in the end, many people can gain like-minded friends because of this. Friend, a word that is already a little distant to him. Tao Zihu was silent for a while, and said tactfully, "Recently, I have something to do at home, and I'm busy, so I may not have the energy to take on the project. If you need it, I can help you look at the proposal, but I may not be able to come up with any useful suggestions." Wang Heng didn't think much about it, and took it for granted that the world of the great god must be very busy, and he was still very excited when he heard Tao Zihu say this. Okay, thank you brother Tao, then I'll post it to you on PP, and I use the company Dang Dang's post is not very good. By the way, I haven't added you as a PP friend yet." With that said, Wang Heng took out his mobile phone, ready to open the QR code of the app. Tao Zihu stopped him in time, and continued to talk nonsense without changing his face. "I haven't used PP for a long time. You can send me an email, and I will write to you when I return to the company." Wang Heng didn't doubt that there was him, so he nodded. After all, Tao Zihu didn't even join the company's PP group, and he completely lost contact after work, which is a well-known thing in the company. "Brother Tao, if you are very busy recently, it's okay to watch it later, we are not in a hurry. I see that you were so sleepy in the morning, and you must have been busy until late yesterday. Pay attention to rest. When I finish my work, I will treat you to dinner." Wang Heng was very sincerely concerned about Dao. Tao Zihu shook his hand holding the milk tea, remembering that he was busy until late and chatting with people on PP. He suddenly felt the weight of the milk tea in his hand. No need, I will treat you when I have a chance, let's eat. Although I don't know how long this opportunity will take." After walking back to the company, Tao Zihu quickly got into work mode. The time passed quickly, and it was 6 o'clock in the blink of an eye. Tao Zihu turned off the computer as usual, closed the lid of the water glass, and picked up the shopping bag on the table. It's just that today's mood is not so happy, but rather melancholy. Shui Huacan next door poked his head out and looked at him with a half-smile. "Are you leaving get off work on time to buy groceries?" Tao Ji glanced at him more, and felt that he seemed a little complacent, and didn't know what he was planning. But he was really too lazy to talk, he only showed a very perfunctory smirk, turned and left. When he raised his hand to check in, Tao Ji looked back unconsciously in the direction of Wang Heng's seat. He was talking to another planner next to him, and then the two got up and walked towards the door while talking and laughing. They should go to eat together. Dinner. Wang Heng saw him standing at the door, and waved to him enthusiastically. "And Tao Zihu will take the bus to the supermarket to buy vegetables, go home to cook, eat, wash dishes, play computer, take a shower, and go to bed." Tao Zihu felt a faint feeling of envy in his heart. When he sat on the bus, leaning against the window to enjoy the cool evening breeze, he opened the long time unused PP in his hand at some point. From a certain point of view, he did not deceive Wang Heng. There are only two categories in Tao Zihu's friend list, one is called Life, and there are supermarket accounts that regularly release promotional information. Tao Zihu knows that it is a girl who manages it, because he has seen her cut the wrong number and post "My husband killed me" dynamics, accompanied by a moving picture of a male celebrity, really handsome. There is also a gym coach who sends group schedules and chicken soup for the soul every day, but because he sent messages too enthusiastically and followed closely, Tao Zihu didn't dare to reply after adding them. In addition, there are the intermediaries he contacted when he was renting a house, and the courier who lost a piece so he had to add friends to compensate him. The other is the default category My Friends, and there is only one person in it, which is the HR added last night. The incident happened suddenly, and Tao Zihu hadn't figured out which category to put him in. HR should not belong to Life, but it wasn't considered My Friend. He was more like an accident that suddenly broke into his life. While thinking wildly, HR's profile picture in the landscape photo suddenly flashed continuously, which startled Tao Ziyu. HR, Dr. Tao, you are off work. HR, although it's already 6 o'clock, I'm afraid you're still on your way home from get off work, so I dare not disturb you. HR, but you patted me, probably because you are free now. HR/cute Tao Ji was stunned. He looked up, only to notice that there was another message ahead. I tap HR. This is a new function released by PP some time ago. Double-click a contact's avatar, and there will be a message prompt to pat the other party. Tao Ziyu seldom uses the chat function of PP, but in the forum, he has seen some people's complaints about social death because of taking a picture, and he has also seen the macho coach posting chicken soup in the feed. Some customers are always hesitant. After adding friends, if you have been silent for too long, you will feel more and more embarrassed to take the step of change. Now with Pai Yi Pai, as long as you pat me, I will take the initiative to take you to change. It must have been when he was looking at the friend list in a daze just now, and accidentally clicked on HR's profile picture. Tao Ziyu felt embarrassed at first, staring at the message from HR, a little at a loss. There was a lot of noise around him, and the evening wind gently brushed his face through the open car window. Slowly, the sense of loss in my heart miraculously disappeared. Tao Ziyu felt that it was probably because the red-faced and smiling default soybean emoji was really cute. Tao, good evening. Tao, I'm free, I won't be cooking today. Tao, what happened? Tao Ziyu looked at the shops lined up on both sides of the street. The neon lights on the signboards flickered in the night. Restaurants opened their doors to welcome customers. Enthusiastic clerks stood at the door and yelled, and diners were already busy on the simple tables and chairs set up in the open air. He drank wine with his arms full, and the aroma of cooking wafted everywhere. It's okay to be lazy once in a while, he thought. HR, yes. Dr. Tao, do you still remember the friend you mentioned yesterday? HR, the one who came to my house suddenly at night. After getting off the car, Tao Ji looked around roughly, then walked into a noodle shop next to him, and ordered a bowl of simple and refreshing beef ramen. I eat rice and stir-fried vegetables every day. I am a little tired and want to change the taste. He took the number plate from the little girl who ordered food and replied to the message. Tao, remember, did he come to your house again? HR, didn't come, but he sent me a message. HR, I usually don't read the news very much, and I don't necessarily reply, but he said that he has a bracelet that he can't find, and it may have left at my house. After I saw the message, I searched for it, but I couldn't find it, so I replied to him, I didn't see it. HR, in the end, he seemed to be waiting for my reply, and immediately said that he would look for it again, and then apologized to me, saying that he was too impulsive last night. He must be careful in the future, and will not embarrass me. I hope I don't hate him, he just loved me so much. HR, I had no choice but to reply, it's okay. He sent another voice message. He seemed to be crying, and the voice was very aggrieved. Should I comfort him? HR/tears. Tao Ziyu's eyes widened as he watched. Unexpectedly, the old-fashioned HR brother met a suitor who was actually a purebred green tea. Tao, the taste of tea is so strong. He was thinking about what advice to give, and HR immediately replied. HR, is Dr. Tao drinking tea? HR, if it is too strong, don't drink it, you will suffer from insomnia at night. Tao Ji was stunned, and he didn't react until the waiter brought the steaming noodles in front of him. He almost forgot that this is a middle-aged elder brother who doesn't have much access to the internet. Tao, I'm not talking about tea for drinking, it's a catchphrase on the internet. Green tea, tea with a strong flavor, both describe people. HR, I seem to have heard my sister mention green tea, what does that mean? Tao, I don't know how to describe it exactly. When I think about it, it's probably that she pretends to be pitiful and innocent on the surface, but she's actually very scheming. Tao, for example, it was obviously this friend who harassed you and brought you trouble, right? But he will apologize and admit his mistake afterwards, put his posture very low, say that everything is because he likes you, and subtly transfer the responsibility to you. It looks very wronged and pitiful. You will in turn want to comfort him, and then he take the opportunity to make some modest requests that you probably won't say no to, so that he can slowly invade your life. Tao, I guess he didn't lose anything at all. He should be very familiar with your habit of replying to messages. He knows that you will definitely reply to what you say, so he said that on purpose. The input at the top of the dialog box was displayed for a long time, and thousands of words finally turned into a blackened soybean expression. HR/fail/fail/fail through the screen. Tao Zihu could feel the huge impact on the heart of this simple middle-aged straight man. He thought it was funny, but he couldn't bear it, so he comforted him while eating noodles. Tao, it's okay, when I didn't understand these things before, I was played around by such people. It's not your problem, some people are just too insincere. HR, no wonder when I asked my sister why she started drinking green tea, she looked contemptuous. HR, Dr. Tao, it's great to meet you, thank you. Tao Zihu has begun to get used to the other party's old-fashioned and sincere rainbow farts, which is quite comfortable to listen to. Tao, Mau giggles.jpg Tao, how did you meet this friend? Are there many intersections in work or life? HR, we met because of the company's business, but it has no direct relationship with me. I am not in charge of that part of the business. After meeting him once at the reception, he has been pestering me. HR, he sent another message. I was really hit by Dr. Tao. HR, he said that bracelet was very important to him, and it was hard not to find it, and asked if I could accompany him to buy a similar one. HR, if I hadn't just learned the definition of green tea, I would definitely agree. Tears. Tao Zihu didn't expect that he hit the mark. Tao, don't be nervous. Since you have no work relationship with him, you don't have any worries. He used these emotional tricks on you. In fact, I suggest that you reject him directly. Don't worry about hurting him. He didn't take your feelings into consideration when manipulating your emotions, so why should you care if he feels bad? Tao, but since he is very teased, he will probably pretend to be pitiful and innocent, and in turn make you very depressed, as if rejecting him is an outrageous thing. Tao, so I suggest you to attack T with T. HR. It makes sense, Dr. Tao, teach me quickly. So Tao Zihu guided him very carefully, and the big brother HR was shocked, as if he had opened the door to a new world, and couldn't wait to go find green tea to practice. Tao Zihu's fingers are a little sore since he hasn't typed on his mobile phone so intensively for a long time. Fortunately, there was a bowl of warm noodle soup to eat, and he felt comfortable physically and mentally. Tao Zihu touched his swollen stomach, checked out happily and left. The beef in this shop is really well marinated, soft and tasty, full of aroma. He will try to make it next time. Tree shadows are swaying, street lights are dim, pedestrians walking with dogs in twos and threes. Tao Zihu walked to the park facing the night. He was so full that he wanted to walk away to digest food. The phone in his pocket vibrated, and Tao Zihu took it out to check. It was a chat record sent by HR. It's Starlight, that's the bracelet my mother gave me. I've worn it for a long time, but suddenly I can't find it. I'm so sad, HR, I am also very uncomfortable. It's Xing Guang, brother, what's wrong with you? HR, I blame myself for causing you to lose such an important bracelet. HR, it's all my fault. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't lose things, and you wouldn't always be sad for me. The opposite party was obviously shocked, and it took a while to reply. Tao Ji couldn't hold back anymore, and started laughing. It's Xing Guang, brother? HR, you also know what other people say about me, they say I'm old-fashioned and boring. You are so good, but still like me, I am terrified. HR, I don't understand what's good about me, and I can't respond to your likes, which makes you feel uncomfortable. HR, I'm so bad. The time between replies is longer now. It's Xing Guang, don't say that, you are the best in my eyes. HR, don't comfort me anymore, it's useless, I don't even have the courage to see you now. I'll look for the bracelet again at home. HR, I want to be alone, sorry. That's the end of the record. By the time Tao Zihu finished reading it, HR had already sent several messages. HR, Dr. Tao, how am I doing? HR, I couldn't hold it back until later, it turns out that the feeling of being green tea is so good that it can block others from talking. HR, Mau Mau Giggles.jpg I have to say that although the big brother HR is not young, he is very talented in learning, accepts new things very quickly, and imitates green tea very vividly. Tao, your performance is particularly good, which reminds me of this emoji. Tao, panda head crying on the outside and laughing on the back. JPG HR, this is good. HR, Dr. Tao, wait for me. Tao Zihu was wondering what HR brother was going to do, and soon, he sent another chat record. HR, I want to be alone, sorry. HR, the head of a panda who is crying on the surface and laughing on the back. JPG it's Xing Guang, brother, this emoticon package is not used like this. HR, really? I thought it was emphasizing that I was sad. HR, I'm so stupid, I don't even know how to use emoticons, I feel so uncomfortable. HR, the head of a panda who is crying on the surface and laughing on the back. JPG the other side didn't dare to speak at all. Tao Zihu stared at the funny panda head expression and couldn't help but smile. Tao, you are amazing, really. Tao, number 1 in yin and yang weirdness / praise. Tao, the yin and yang weirdness here is to praise you for being beautiful. HR, a little revenge, happy face. HR, ah. Learned new knowledge. HR, Dr. Tao, thanks to you for helping me analyze his psychology today, you know a lot. The more Tao Ji thought about it, he felt that brother HR should not have any strange misunderstandings about him, so he explained it. Tao, there are all kinds of people on the internet. Netizens like to hang out such strange things. I have seen a lot of them, so I am familiar with them. HR, so it is. HR, Dr. Tao, do you think I should surf the internet more and learn more about what is popular among young people? Tao Zihu immediately remembered the words in the previous chat records, you know what other people say about me, right? They say I'm old-fashioned and boring. It seems that brother HR is quite troubled by this. As a middle-aged man, he is still willing to get in touch with new things in order to communicate with young people. Tao Zihu thinks he is very courageous. Tao, remember what you said to me yesterday? Tao, don't care about what other people think, just follow your own heart. Tao, if you think that will make you happier, do it. It was almost 9 o'clock when Tao Zihu returned home from his stroll, and the night without doing housework was very relaxing. He didn't turn on the computer, took a shower first, and then went to bed to play with his mobile phone. Although he feels fulfilled today, he is used to surfing before going to bed, and he always feels that something is missing if he doesn't browse the forum. Tao Zihu swiped the screen in a relaxed mood. Even though he saw a post that would raise his blood pressure on weekdays, he swiped across it with a smile. When he turned to the entertainment section, his eyes were attracted by the popular posts. Title: Here he is, the well-known tea star Xiaomu is here again with his signature tea art. Hot host, as we all know, Xiaomu's only masterpiece La Traviata, a sequel is added today. Na prize quiz, which poor male celebrity will be pulled out by the heartbroken starlights to insult the scum next. Screenshot Xia I lost a very important thing, and I also lost a very important person. Xia Xingzivi replied to her favorite Zixi, it's nothing, don't guess, I'm not good enough. Xiaoxing ZV, thank you for always being there, my cutest stars / love. Tao Zihu glanced at the screenshot casually, and felt that the taste of the tea exceeded the standard, and most of the comments below were mocking. Today's green tea concentration was really too high, he couldn't bear it, so he didn't look at it carefully, quit the post casually, browsed the forum for a while, and soon fell asleep. The moonlight is hazy, and everything is silent at night. Tao Zihu turned off the light, nestled under the thin quilt, and fell into a deep sleep. At 10:30, the phone screen quietly lit up. HR, good night, Dr. Tao, I wish you sweet dreams. Tao, good morning /Sun Tao, I fell asleep early yesterday and slept very well. Tao Zihu usually gets up at 7:30, leaves the house at 8:30, and goes to work at 9 o'clock. Since he went to bed early last night, Tao Zihu, who had been sleeping for 9 hours, woke up at 6:30. The room was soaked in blue-grey sunlight. He got up and opened the window, and the cool and pleasant fresh air came in, which is unique to the morning. The taste of. Seeing the good night greeting from HR, Tao Zihu jumped up unconsciously. It had been a long time since he had heard good night from anyone. Tao Zihu felt that today was the most beautiful morning in recent times, and it was Friday morning. To celebrate this auspicious day, Tao Zihu decided to go for a half-hour run downstairs after washing up. Although from the day he was born, he vowed to exercise to ensure his health, but his self-control has almost been exhausted by going to bed early and getting up early every day, cooking and going to work, so he joined the gym trainer early, and bought a good exercise a long time ago. Equipment is also shelved. Tao Zihu put on brand new running shoes, and went downstairs lightly. At this time, the office workers have not yet dispatched. Occasionally, a middle school student rushes out with breakfast, or an old man with a woven basket walks slowly towards the vegetable market, and there is silence everywhere. The location of the community is good, you can walk to a beautiful park in 5 minutes, and the surrounding residents often do morning exercises here. It was early summer, and the gardenia trees in the park were bathed in the faint morning light. They were verdant and green, and the white flowers bloomed quietly, full of fragrance. The whole park was filled with the warm fragrance of gardenias. A scent often reminiscent of childhood and home. Running in such a fragrant air, the time seems to be stretched infinitely. Tao Zihu is covered in sweat, his thoughts are wandering, and he almost ran into a little girl. The little girl was about 3 or 4 years old, wearing a floral skirt, with a flushed face, bending over to catch the butterflies flying in the flowers on the side of the road. She was so fascinated by the game that she accidentally got in the middle of the road. Fortunately, Tao Zihu stopped in time. He breathed a sigh of relief and led the little girl to a safe grassland. Seeing that there were no adults around, he knelt down and asked her softly, "Why are you playing here alone?" The little girl stared at him blankly at first, her eyes were round and pure black, then she smiled happily. Tao Zihu was taken aback. "When I was in high school, there lived a little girl of the same age downstairs in his house. She was never afraid of strangers, and she often looked at him with a smile like this when she met her in the corridor." 16 or 17-year-old Tao Zihu has always wanted a younger sister. He thought the neighbor's little sister was very cute, so he brought her a beautiful candy every day, which made the child roll his eyes with a smile, and then he would sweetly talk to him. Say see you tomorrow. Grandpa is walking the dog, I don't know where he is going. The little girl looked around seriously, and answered him crisply. Tao Zihu came back to his senses, thought for a while, he was worried that such a child would stay alone in a park with people coming and going, and he didn't dare to take her to find Grandpa rashly, so he simply stayed aside, ready to wait for her. Grandpa found it by himself. "Big brother, my name is Kyokyu." The little girl lost interest in Butterfly and started chatting with him. "You are very handsome, even more handsome than my brother." Kyokyu's innocent eyes showed undisguised love. Tao Zihu laughed, and the business boasted to each other, "You are also very beautiful, prettier than all the children I know. Kaihokia was shy, holding her face together, her voice filled with joy. Really? Really? Tao Ziyu nodded with a smile. Does Kaihokia accompany Grandpa to walk the dog every day? Yes, Kaihokia likes to get up early. Is this the first time for Big Brother to run? I haven't seen you in the morning. Kaihokia counted with her fingers, her memory is very good. Tao Ziyu was a little embarrassed, he was no match for a little doubting, Big Brother will come for a run often in the future. But when Kaihokia and Grandpa come for a walk with the dog, follow him closely and don't get lost. Just as Kaihokia was about to speak, she saw an old man trotting over with a snow-white samoyed by his hand. She was immediately distracted. Grandpa! Where have you been? Oh my little ancestor, I've been looking for you for a long time. The old man panted while holding his waist. After recovering, the old man thanked Tao Ziyu again and again, saying that the dog ran around just now and didn't notice Kaihokia for a while. Tao Ziyu smiled, saying it was okay. He looked at his watch, it was time to go back to eat breakfast and go to work. When he turned to leave, Kaihokia raised her chubby little hand and said goodbye to him with a smile. Big Brother, see you tomorrow. Tao Ziyu was in a trance for a while. The little girl who stayed in memory and would never grow up again, holding colorful candies in her palm, smiled at him with a frown. Big Brother, see you tomorrow. At that moment, he almost thought that he had returned to the place where he used to live, the old residential building where he lived for more than 10 years. He was carrying a heavy school bag and had to go up 2 floors. They are waiting for him to come home from school. The scent of gardenias all over the sky penetrated into his body, it was so sweet that it wove into a dream that was too thick to dissolve. Tao Ji didn't dare to look back, he fled in a hurry. Zhitong Game Company. The atmosphere in the company today is a bit strange. The CEO, who usually arrives late and leaves early, came early in the morning with a very serious expression. As soon as he arrived, he called away the HR manager and project producer, and the 3 entered the office to whisper. A few employees who paddled and fished every day were a little nervous and looked around. Although the projects of this company are bad, they are quite profitable, so the salary level is not bad. In the general 996 game industry, overtime is not that serious. For many people, this is already considered a good job. Several private groups on the PP became lively. I didn't have the mood to work on Friday, so why not gossip with everyone? Tao Ziyu's expression was normal, and he stepped to the company, ignoring the whispers of the people around him, and also ignoring Shui Huacan who was very excited next door. He turned on the computer, and continued to fix bugs according to the optimization plan he conceived yesterday. Half an hour later, the 3 of them came out together. Among them, the CEO looked around the office area, his eyes lit up, and he went straight to Tao Ziyu's desk. When Tao Ziyu left with the CEO, he was still a little irritable because he just started writing. But when he walked out of the CEO's office, he had a strange expression on his face. Promotion should be happy, and dismissal should be depressed. The people who eat melons are staring at Tao Ziyu eagerly, trying to read a little story from his expression, but they are all confused. This expression, which is difficult to describe in words, seems to have rich connotations. Tao Ziyu didn't disappoint them, he didn't sit down directly when he returned to his workstation, but stood next to Shui Huacan. His voice was not too loud, just enough for the surrounding colleagues to hear. You tell Lao Li that I am in contact with the HR of other companies. After the voice fell, the melon field boiled. Shui Huacan was taken aback for a moment, then smirked, and subconsciously glanced at Lao Li's empty seat. I just mentioned it casually, who knew that Lao Li told Mr. Guo. The CEO's surname is Guo, and Lao Li didn't come today on sick leave. Tao Ziyu's tone was flat. You peeked at my mobile phone screen, and then casually mentioned it to make a small report. Sneaking or not, it sounds so ugly. Shui Huacan said with a sincere expression, I just happened to come to you, but I accidentally caught a glimpse. Xiao Tao, I didn't mean you, it's really not good. What is riding a donkey to find a horse? You can't be so impetuous after you just graduated. Oh, sorry, I forgot that you didn't graduate. As he said that, he changed the subject and put on a hypocritical attitude of understanding. If you really can't bear it, it's not impossible to want to change jobs, but you are still in the company, but you don't work hard. The project progress is so fast, you are in a hurry every day. Going home to buy groceries, never willing to pay more for the company. What do other colleagues think of this? Other colleagues, don't queue while eating melons. A group of people all pricked up their ears and eavesdropped frantically. Such an exciting face-to-face confrontation is really rare. Tao Ziyu was not angry at all, and even smiled. Is the lesson enough? Shui Huacan continued to smirk. This is not a lesson, Xiao Tao, you are too high-level, and I am your senior, how can you talk to me like this? Mr. Guo told you just now, this matter, I won't be able to fire you, right? You should pay more attention in the future. Oh, speaking of it, I still have to thank Senior Shui. Tao Ziyu emphasized emphatically, Boss Guo said he would give me a raise. Shui Huacan's unfinished words were choked in his throat, and he looked like you were talking nonsense. Tao Ziyu ignored him and continued, after communicating with Lao Li, Mr. Guo learned that my daily workload is more than twice the normal amount, and he felt that I was treated badly in terms of salary, so he decided to double my salary. Shui Huacan. I was not very embarrassed at first, but Mr. Guo said that he knew that I might want to change jobs. Now the company has been lacking procedures. If I leave, the workload of other colleagues will increase, so I must accept it. Shui Huacan. Tao Ziyu added another knife. By the way, there will be a lot of unreleased new game demos at the game exhibition in the city next week. Mr. Guo asked me to take a few days off with pay. Don't be too tired, take time to go to the game exhibition. Look, some ideas for the company's next project. In the end, Tao Ziyu concluded his speech, showing a smile that was not sincere at all. Anyway, thank you, Senior Shui, for meddling in your own business. After waves of blows, Shui Huacan could see that the ground turned red with the naked eye, as if he was going to have a cerebral hemorrhage in the next second. There were bursts of exclamations from the surrounding colleagues. Is this a social animal slap in the face that they can read without spending money? After finishing speaking, Tao Ziyu didn't give Shui Huacan any extra glances, sat down on his own, and put on the earphones to avoid being polluted by noise. Recalling the conversation with the CEO just now, Tao Ziyu still felt dumbfounded. Because of HR Big Brother's nickname, he was misunderstood as wanting to change jobs, which is outrageous enough. What was even more unexpected was that Mr. Guo, who was too brainy, still did not give up the conjecture that the talented young master of the rich family came to find a project to play incognito. Recalling the original intention of entering the game industry back then, I asked him if he would like to do something more original, which is why the game exhibition came out. Faced with Mr. Guo's expectant eyes, Tao Ziyu could only respond, but he couldn't help but start to worry in his heart. If this continues, he might have to change jobs again. Moving was very tiring, Tao Ziyu sighed silently. After such a commotion, Tao Ziyu didn't want to work anymore. He opened the shopping software and prepared to place an order to buy a screen protector for mobile phones and computers. When he was browsing the products, a message suddenly popped up on the PP. HR, Dr. Tao, good morning. HR, I'm going to Jinbei City for a business trip next week. HR, Giggles.jpg. After the news was sent out, Huo Ran was a little nervous for no reason. 10 minutes ago, Huo Ran just woke up from a sweet dream. He got up immediately, dressed and washed briefly, and then quickly ran to the study to turn on the computer, just like an internet-addicted teenager. Regarding this abnormal behavior, he comforted himself, this is to respect doctors, and to respect doctors is to respect life. Who doesn't respect life? After logging onto the PP, Dr. Tao had indeed sent a message. Huo Ran was about to reply when he saw that there were still unread messages from Huo Zhendong in the list. Satisfaction Chang'e, the investment of the game company in northern Shaanxi has changed. After re-evaluation, it is decided to only invest 30% of the share, and the derivative development is temporarily put on hold, so there is no need to send people to stay there. Satisfaction Chang'e, if you want to go to Jinbei so much, there will be a game exhibition there next week, you can go and see if there are any projects worth doing, and we can take control of them. Contentment, /handshake/clasp fist. In order to encourage him to change his mobile phone, Huo Zhendong specially registered PP at a young age, which is specially used to send him messages. Unless there is an urgent matter, he will never take the initiative to call or send him a text message. From this point, it can be seen that he must be Huo Zhendong's own. Due to suffering from homosexual harassment recently, Huo Ran, who regrets not going to the project in Jinbei City, complains to Huo Zhendong from time to time. He doesn't care about the project, but just wants to escape here openly, and he can go on business wherever he can. Seeing what Huo Zhendong said, Huo Ran's eyes lit up immediately. Dr. Tao is in Jinbei City, and Huo Ran also knows his work address, the number 7 mental hospital of Jinbei City. Under Dr. Tao's guidance yesterday, he managed to scare away Xia Xingzi, who had been pestering him for half a month. From now on, at least he wouldn't have to worry about someone knocking on the door in the middle of the night. He wanted to go to the hospital to thank Dr. Tao face to face. He is not an official patient and does not pay, so what should he do to show his gratitude? In his wild thoughts, he was even thinking about what to write on the pennant he gave to Dr. Tao. Huo Ran stared at the inputting at the top of the dialog box, unconsciously holding his breath. If Dr. Tao does not reject meeting with netizens, he would like to treat Dr. Tao to a meal. It was not until 5 minutes later that Dr. Tao entered the news for a long time before it arrived. Tao, the weather in northern Shaanxi is very good now, it will be very comfortable to come here. You can also go shopping after you are busy, and there are many snacks. Tao, but I'm not very familiar with this place, so I can't recommend you a good place to eat, drink, and have fun. I remember that there are recommended posts in the travel section of the Sky Forum, you can take a look. The 2 paragraphs of reply were not long, but Huo Ran read it several times, feeling a subtle sense of loss in his heart. Huo Ran was sure that Dr. Tao knew what he was going to say next, so he took a step ahead and tactfully declined the unspoken meeting request. Trapped in depression, Huo Ran thought about it again. He and Dr. Tao had only known each other for a few days. A person who values privacy like Dr. Tao would definitely not want to meet strangers rashly. So Huo Ran decided to make amends. HR, okay, thank you Dr. Tao. HR, it's a pity that the schedule is too busy this time, otherwise I would definitely come to thank Dr. Tao in person. Dr. Tao came back very quickly this time. Tao, you're welcome Tao, puppet bear dancing. GIF. Looking at the twisted puppet bear in the center of the screen, Huo Ran skillfully clicked the right button to add it to the expression, and at the same time breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Dr. Tao didn't mind his abruptness. Now is Dr. Tao's working time, Huo Ran didn't bother him anymore. He stared at Dr. Tao's system default avatar, and involuntarily became curious about Dr. Tao's life. Dr. Tao has a regular schedule and loves work. He is cautious but helpful. He has a lot of cute emoticons, but he uses a simple and original profile picture. Familiarity, what is life like for such a seemingly contradictory young man? Huo Ran originally wanted to click on Dr. Tao's personal space, but 5 or 6 years ago, when he suspected that his younger sister Huo Sihan had a puppy love, and secretly browsed through her space to find clues, Huo Sihan turned around and asked him why he was cheating on him. Huo Ran was taken aback. He didn't want Dr. Tao to have a bad impression of him, so Huo Ran opened all the dynamic pages and scrolled down to see the dynamics of all his friends. However, his eyes were dazzled when he saw it, and he turned to 3 months ago, but he didn't see any post from Dr. Tao. Huo Ran was a little disappointed, and caught a glimpse of Huo Sihun's post just a few minutes ago. Dynamic Your Father, there was a sudden heavy rain on the island last night, and the vegetable seedlings I just germinated were forced to be in a daze. I didn't expect to miss the wild backlash and skinning of the big guys. The T-Star personally went off to delete the post and blow up the account. Woo woo, please give me some wonderful screenshots, Kong Kong, sisters on the list. After last night, Huo Ran became very sensitive to the word T. Although he didn't fully understand the second half of what his sister said, he still made a few comments. Comment HR, we need to build a greenhouse in time, idiot. Comment HR, does the T-Star refer to green tea? Huo Sihun sent a message at the speed of light. Your dad? Your dad, do you finally know what green tea means? Your father, I am not dreaming. JPG Huo Ran thought about it for a while, and a strange desire to win and lose arose in his heart. HR, is brother so stupid in your eyes? HR, I don't want to either, but I didn't have a chance to learn about these things before, and I will study hard in the future. HR, Sihun, don't dislike your brother, he will feel uncomfortable. Your father, okay, stop, I was wrong, I just had breakfast, please forgive me. HR/cute After seeing Huo Ran's tea art, Huo Sihun immediately sent a screenshot. Your father, this is a star, you must not know him, because he can do nothing but perform tea art, and he has been famous all the way, so everyone mockingly calls him a tea star. Huo Ran opened it and saw that it was a screenshot of Xia Xingzi's scarf, and he froze for a moment. Looking at his sister's sentence, you must not know, Huo Ran silently felt guilty. Not only did he know each other, but this tease-scented scarf seemed to refer to him. Huo Ran never watches entertainment news, and doesn't watch movies and TV dramas much, and knows almost nothing about domestic superstar artists. Although Huo's has a very famous entertainment company, Huo Ran didn't intend to take over this business, so he gave up exploring this unfamiliar field with a huge amount of information. Therefore, at the reception a month ago, when Xia Xingzi, who was wearing a tuxedo and looked like a proud peacock, bumped into him with a wine glass, Huo Ran, whose chest was blushed, had no idea that this was a star. He thought it's a clumsy waiter, so it's okay to be gentle. He lowered his head and wiped the red wine stains on his chest. He didn't see Xia Xingzi's flashing eyes at all. As a result, he was forced to start a nightmare that lasted for more than half a month. In fact, Xia Xingzi knew him. In a small circle that tried to exchange his body for resources, photos of the high-level lists of several major entertainment companies and various parent companies were widely circulated. Huo Ran, the future heir of the Huo family, is listed at the top of the list. If he can become Huo Ran's sidekick, it can be called a business with no capital and no profit. Huo Ran didn't know about these twists and turns, but after Dr. Tao's reminder, he didn't feel that Xia Xingzi really liked him, so naturally he didn't have any tolerance for him. Originally, Huo Ran had already forgotten about Xia Xingzi, but now he accidentally saw him alluding to his green tea speech. Huo Ran was inevitably a little angry, and immediately blocked him on PP. However, in front of his shrewd and perceptive younger sister, too many words will lead to mistakes, so Huo Ran intends to fool her. HR, I don't know him, he speaks so well. HR, Mao Mao giggles. JPG Your father, who did you save the emoji from? Your father, I have sent you so many spicy messages, but you are useless. HR, oh, your emoji is so ugly, it's not cute at all. HR, mine is so cute. HR, Muppet Bear Dancing. GIF. Soon the weekend came, and Huo Ran happily bid farewell to his extremely tormenting working days. Although he hated the social activities Huo Zhendong arranged for him, if he really had to choose between going to work and socializing. Forget it, he chose death. When Huo Ran comes to the company every day, he not only has to face the untouchable flowers in the reception room, but also meets the assistant Zhang Nansheng whose face is full of secret love. Yes, his male assistant likes him too. Unlike Xia Xingzi, Zhang Nansheng didn't do anything excessive, and fulfilled his job duties very dutifully, but wrote "I like you, I will be elated if you look at me." That's all. Huo Ran couldn't even say a word of rejection, because he didn't confess his love at all, so he couldn't change his assistant because of this. He always felt that it was not wrong to really like someone. On a business trip to Jinbei City next week, Huo Ran didn't want to bring this assistant who always blushes at him, but considering that Huo Zhendong assigned him tasks, and in such trivial matters as collecting information on exhibiting projects, arranging schedules and booking hotels, it will be more efficient if you have an assistant. Therefore, Huo Ran is not willful, but just nonchalantly told Zhang Nansheng to wear a mask. Hearing this, Zhang Nanshen's face immediately caught fire, and turned red in a blink of an eye. "Thank you Mr. Huo for your concern. I have pollen allergies, so I should wear a mask. I didn't expect Mr. Huo to even notice this." Huo Ran felt that he should also wear a mask, otherwise he might not be able to maintain Mr. Huo's calm expression. The troubles brought by Xia Xingzi came to an end, and the flower-sending madman can temporarily avoid it through business trips. Regarding Zhang Nansheng, Huo Ran hasn't figured out how to talk to Dr. Tao. For a while, there seems to be no relationship between him and Dr. Tao. Topic: How will Dr. Tao spend the weekend and 2 days off? After holding back for a long time, even the friends who played with Huo Ran noticed his absence, and stopped to ask him if something happened. Huo Ran blurted out, "What do you usually do on weekends?" The friend seemed to see the living mentally retarded, and clapped the basketball in his hand vigorously. "Play." Huo Ran palely explained, "No, I'm not asking you." The friend took a sharp step back, looking into the air in front of him in horror. Huo Ran struggled for a while, and apologized to his friend honestly, saying that he was out of shape today and stopped fighting. For the first time, he really felt that it was a troublesome thing that PP could not be used on the antique button machine. Losing his mind about playing basketball, Huo Ran decided to go home and read a book, and he hasn't calmed down to read for a long time. And turn on the computer by the way to see if anyone is looking for him. Huo Ran got home and took a shower, and rushed to the study impatiently. His hair was wet and dripping. There is no new news on the PP, and the chat history between him and Dr. Tao stays at yesterday's good night. I don't know if Dr. Tao will sleep in on the weekend, and there is nothing to say today, so Huo Ran didn't send a good morning greeting. It's almost evening now, Dr. Tao must be awake. What is he doing? The newly addicted young man Huo Ran stared blankly at the computer screen for a while, unconsciously clicking on Dr. Tao's profile picture. "Ipat Tao." Huo Ran. Huo Ran was stunned on the spot, his expression was stiff and he was at a loss. In less than half a minute, Dr. Tao responded. "Tao pats me." The two lines of grey text pi yi pi are connected together, which is an instant exchange beyond words. They have no dialogue, but they are looking at the chat interface at the same time. Huo Ran's heart moved slightly, and he lowered his head unconsciously. It was as if he had been slapped on the head. I just got back from playing ball, sweating/penguin jumping. Is Dr. Tao playing outside? Tao, read at home. Tao, but I don't seem to be able to see it. Tao, salted fish paralysis. JPG. Staring at this exhausted salted fish expression, Huo Ran had a hard time linking this state with the self-disciplined Dr. Tao. But this expression is so cute, Huo Ran silently saved the picture again. Me too, I've been very impetuous recently. Dr. Tao, don't force yourself to read books, you can go out for a walk. I read the posts on the forum yesterday. It turns out that there are so many interesting places in northern Shaanxi. Does Dr. Tao need Amway? Tao, you even know about Amway/Gaotu. Amway is a new word that Huo Ran learned from reading the post yesterday. Take it out to learn and sell it now, and was noticed by Dr. Tao. Huo Ran blushed. Tao, thank you, I don't need it for now, I don't go out much. Tao, I am used to being paralyzed at home, ha 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 ha. Although Dr. Tao ended with ha 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 ha, for some reason, Huo Ran read a trace of loneliness from it. Huo Ran immediately felt that this must be an illusion. How can such a gentle and warm-hearted person as Dr. Tao be lonely? So he didn't think about it anymore, and chatted with Dr. Tao for a few more words, until Dr. Tao said he was going to make dinner. Huo Ran went to the kitchen to cook a bowl of noodles for himself, took the bowl back to the study, and involuntarily opened the game icon on the desktop, completely forgetting the rows of bookshelves behind him. A while ago, Huo Ran's daily schedule has been very full, occupied by various boring business trips and social activities. After he solemnly protested to Huo Zhendong, it decreased, at least weekends can be his own. So Huo Ran, who has finally experienced the feeling of being a social animal, doesn't want to work hard anymore on weekends. When he wants to go out, he invites his friends to play ball, eat, and hides at home to play games when he doesn't want to go out. Recently, there is a game that has become very popular. Friends who have never played games around Huo Ran are playing it. It is a simulation management sandbox game called Happy Animal Island. It has been in stable operation for several years. Suddenly, because of an explosion, the red scarf is out of the circle. In Happy Animal Island, players can choose an animal as their own image, and then build and manage their own small island. The game has a high degree of freedom. Because some animals are limited by their shape, they cannot complete part of the game operations, so you can choose to live in groups in the game. Several players can jointly manage the island, as long as the island owner agrees after submitting an application. The owner of that scarf is a very cute squirrel. He likes to store things in real life. He has built many warehouses on the island, stocking a lot of food and all kinds of gadgets. One day, Squirrel Po suddenly found that some inconspicuous things were missing, but there was no visitor record on the island. He reported to the customer service, and the customer service said it was not a game bug. Squirrel Po observed carefully, and found that his things would become less after he went offline and disappeared every day, so he reluctantly sold a lot of food, bought an invisibility cloak made by a master player, put it on, and squatted at the warehouse door, vowing to catch this mysterious NPC thief. As a result, he saw a small black ant, which moved 3 grains of rice from his warehouse very skillfully, and snorted into the hole hidden in the cracks in the wood. Squirrel Po looked at the nickname of the player above the head of the ant, and was dumbfounded. Some players chose to be an ant. Only then did he remember that he had received a group living application from a player a long time ago. He had been looking forward to it for a while, but he hadn't seen that player appear, and the island hadn't built a new hut, so he thought the other party wasn't playing. Up. Unexpectedly, this mini player lives underground. Squirrel Po is full of curiosity. He is too big to get down, so he can only send a message to the ant player in the islander list, asking what his house is like. The ant player replied, first expressing his apology for stealing, and then showing him a screenshot of his hut. A luxurious golden bed made of sawdust, a petal quilt made of dried flowers, a dining table with flat bottom screws, a large bathtub made of eggshells, a thick water pipe made of plastic straws. The Squirrel Po was so cute that his face was bloodied, and then he sent out this scarf. He felt that Animal Island is full of incredible surprises, and each player can have his own unique way of playing. Animal Island became popular because of this, and Huo Sihan, who was quickly addicted to it, kept brainwashing Huo Ran in order to get the reward for inviting friends, coercing him and luring him to play. Huo Ran, who doesn't play games often, was very reluctant at first, but after playing it, he really enjoyed it, and even became interested in the game industry because of this. Huo Sehun is a koala in the game. Huo Ran thinks that the brother and sister should look alike. Of course he is much stronger than his sister. So, he chose to be a big brown bear. The big brown bear walks slowly, but is strong enough to easily smash the wooden fence on Koala Island. After Huo Ran went online, he took a wooden boat to his sister's island to do some harmless damage, left a few fruits as gifts, and happily patted his back home. His small island will be sunny in the next few days. Huo Ran plans to take the opportunity to renovate the house. The brown bear moves slowly, so he needs to allow enough time. The speed of this game in real time is 1:1. Huo Ran stayed in the game until 10 o'clock in the evening. When the island was completely dark, he went offline, and continued the next day. It wasn't until Sunday night that Huo Ran, who devoted himself wholeheartedly, completed the difficult renovation work. Looking at the brand new industrial-style cool house, Huo Ran took a few photos with satisfaction and posted them on the news feed. Dynamic HR, it's a loss to the industry that I didn't become an architect/cute picture soon, people liked and responded. Comment your father, vomit. Shameless. Comments keep talking, Mr. Huo is really amazing. Comment Lu Yan, Aran, are you playing this too? ID number, I will add you. Comment Contented Chong Le replied to your father, what's your name? Comment HR replies to Contentment and Happiness, Dad, look at how arrogant she is. The interaction under the PP feed can only be seen by mutual friends. Huo Ran likes this unique setting very much, so that even if he adds some unfamiliar people, he is not afraid of revealing his privacy. His eyes were sore from looking at the computer for the past 2 days. Huo Ran glanced at the densely packed new comments, and was about to close the web page when he suddenly froze. Comment Tao, a skylight can be opened on the roof, it will look better. Huo Ran wanted to reply to the comment, but after a pause, he opened the chat window directly. HR, Dr. Tao, do you also play Animal Island? HR, so the roof can be changed. Tao, I played a lot before, but I didn't expect it to be so popular now. Immediately afterwards, Dr. Tao sent a few pictures. Huo Ran opened it, and found that it was also a screenshot of the Animal Island hut, which was very similar to the style he had painstakingly decorated, but there was a big skylight on the roof, filled with stars at night, against the dark grey and rough hut, all of a sudden. Rustic romance. HR, looks good. HR, Dr. Tao is amazing. Tao, I had nothing to do at that time, and I tried many styles. If you need reference, you can ask me. Tao, little bear goes around. GIF Huo Ran, who was immersed in the halo of the master architect, looked at the pictures sent by Dr. Tao, and felt ashamed. He carefully studied the layout of the cabin and wanted to learn and absorb it. Then he saw the half-round brown figure reflected in the mirror, the spikes on his body glowed with silvery white light. It turned out that Dr. Tao was a hedgehog. Looking at the message sent by Dr. Tao again, Huo Ran belatedly thought that the trace of loneliness he read yesterday was not an illusion. After being dazed for a while, Huo Ran sent a somewhat presumptuous message out of nowhere. HR, is Dr. Tao always alone? Dr. Tao did not deny it, and the tone of his reply was very relaxed. Tao, has my social fear attribute been discovered so quickly? 0.0 With an inexplicable impulse in his heart, Huo Ran continued to ask. HR, is it because you feel that you have nothing to talk about with the people you know, so you can't become friends? It took a long time this time before Dr. Tao sent a message. Tao, no. Tao, I just have no sense of reality.